All right, today lesson 2.3 is called Place Value in Whole Numbers. We're going to learn what digits do we use in our number system, what are whole numbers and how do we write them, how do we abbreviate whole numbers, how do we use place value to read whole numbers, and how do we write a number as a sum of its place values. So first, let's talk about the digits in our place value system. Our place value system is a base 10 numeral system. So we can write all the whole numbers that we know by using these 10 digits. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. These are the 10 digits in our number system. And we can use these to write any whole number. So for instance, if I wanted to write 99, I'd use the digit 9 and I'd use the digit 9 again. If I wanted to write the whole number 46, I would use a 4 and I would use the 6 digit. If I wanted to write the number 248, I would use a 2, a 4, and an 8. I can use the 10 digits in our number system to write any whole number I want. Okay? So what are whole numbers? Whole numbers are the numbers that we use to count, not fractions. They're whole numbers. Okay? And we use digits to write them. Now, how can we abbreviate whole numbers? And how do we use place value to read whole numbers? Well, let's look at this place value chart. Okay, so down here, we've got a place value chart. In our number system, okay, we always count. Our first column is represented by called our ones column, then our tens column, then our hundreds column. Then, once we go beyond that and we make another group of 10, the next ones are called our thousands. And we separate that by using a comma. So once we have a group of 10, we make 1,000. When we have another group of 10, we make 10,000. When we have another group of 10, we make 100,000. When we have another group of 10, now we're in the millions. And we separate at the comma. Okay? When we have a group of 10 millions, we make 10 million. If we have a group of 10 of those, then we have 100 million. Okay? Now, this is how we abbreviate. I can abbreviate the ones column just by using the letter O. I can abbreviate the tens column by using the letter T. I can abbreviate the hundreds column just by using the letter H. I can abbreviate the thousands column by using the letter K. So I know some of you are thinking, why would you use the letter K? Well, we use K for thousands, for kilogram, kilometer. K represents kilo, which represents 1,000. For 10,000s, I can just use 10K. For 100,000s, I can write 100K. Okay? For millions, I can abbreviate millions just by using capital letter M. For 10 million, how do I write that? You got it, 10M. For 100 million, I would just write 100M. And that's how I can abbreviate 100 million. So now, I can put numbers into these different place values and it'll help me read it and it'll help me see, which one has a greater place value. So if I was looking at the number 945, well, that number has 9 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. Okay? If I wanted to look at the number, let's say, this number, how would I read this number? Okay. Well, this number has 2 ones, 6 tens, 4 hundreds, and 1,000. Okay? So when I read numbers, I read all my numbers in the thousands, and when I'm done reading these numbers, I say their place value, 1,000. Then I read the next set of 3 numbers. So if I was reading this, I'd say 1,462. Okay, let's try with another number. Let's try a larger number. So let's try this one. This number has 8 ones, 8 tens, 7 hundreds, has 1,000, 5 10,000s or 50,000, and 300,000. So if I wanted to read this, I would just read all these numbers, then their place value. So this number is 351,000. Now I read all of these, 788. So again, 351,788. Let's try with a bigger number. Let's try with a bigger. Okay, so let's try this number. How many ones does this number have? You got it, 3 ones. How many tens? 6 tens. It also has 6 hundreds. It has 5 thousands. How many 10,000s? 1. 400,000s. It has 3 millions and 2 10 millions or 23 million. So if I'm reading this, I read all these numbers, then their place value. Then I read the next set of 3 numbers and its place value. And finally, I read the last 3 numbers. So how would I read this? This is how I'd read it. 23,415,663. Okay? So this brings us to, so that's how we read numbers, and that's how we write them. And we use commas to separate the millions from the thousands. Okay? Now our last question. How do we write a number as a sum of its place values? So if I wanted to write a number, let's try with a smaller number. Let's try this number, 5,663. So if I wanted to write this number as a sum of its values, well, this 5 represents 5,000. Okay? The 100 represents, this 100 over here represents 600. This 6 over here represents 6 tens or 60. And this 3 over here represents 3 ones. So if I wanted to write it as the sum of its parts, I can simply write it like this. Okay? 5,000 plus 600 plus 60 plus 3. Okay? In math, when we take a number and we write it as the sum of its parts, that is known as expanded notation, because we're writing it in a much, we're stretching it out. Okay? So let's try expanded notation with a different number. Okay, let's try, okay, so let's try this. So first, how would we read it? 1, the place value is 1,884,438. Now, how would we write it in expanded notation? Well, what does this 1 represent? It represents 1, comma, and 1, 2, 3, comma, 4, 5, 6 place values. So let me write that now. 1, 2, 3, comma, 4, 5, 6 place values. What does the 8 represent? It represents 800,000, 1, 2, comma, 3, 4, 5 place values. 8, 1, 2, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 place values. What does the next 8 represent? It represents 8 10,000s. So it's 8, 1, comma, 1, 2, 3 place values. What does the 4 represent? The 4 represents 4, comma, 1, 2, 3 place values. What is the next 4? What does this 4 in the hundreds column represent? It represents 400. And what does the 3 represent? 3 tens. And what does the 8 represent? 8 ones. Okay. So this is how you'd write it. You'd write that number using expanded notation. It's 1 million plus 800,000 plus 80,000 plus 4,000 plus 400 plus 30 plus 8. So today we covered in 2.3 what digits do we use in our number system. We use the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. What are whole numbers and how do we write them? Whole numbers are all of our counting numbers. We write them by using our digits. How do we abbreviate whole numbers? Well, if you remember down here, we abbreviate by using the letter M to represent millions, the letter K to represent our thousands, the letter H to represent our hundreds, the letter T to represent our tens, and the letter O to represent our ones. And how do we use place value to read numbers? Our millions makes up these three columns. Then we use a comma and read the place value. Then our thousands represents these three columns. And then finally, these last three columns here. And a last question, how do we write a number as a sum of its place values? That's what we call expanded notation. So for each number, we write it, what it represents, and then we add the next place value, what it represents, and we add the next place value, and the next one, and so on and so forth. Okay? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.